All right. I am sorry that I'm late. It took a little bit longer than expected to get my daughter down. She was, I don't know, for whatever reason, it was just really, really hard to get her down tonight. All right. So, transgender movement. Where did this come from? It wasn't amplified until Bruce Jenner decided that he could become a woman. Although I do not agree that he is a woman, this whole movement all started after Caitlyn Jenner rose up from the freaking ground. So, um, yeah, I'm gonna talk about that because it's absolutely insane to me that this whole movement is even happening to begin with. And I think the worst part of it is our kids are now being drug in to this whole movement. And it's sickening, it's horrifying, and I'm going to talk about why. For one, actual transgender people have an extremely high rate of suicide. I'm talking, for men, it's like 46%. Women, it's 42%. And it's usually between the ages of 18 to 24. It's astounding, the rate of suicide. Absolutely terrifying. But yet you have these parents encouraging their children to go along with this fantasy that they are the opposite sex that they were born with. Why is that dangerous? Because you need to let children play out these fantasies. And I can speak from experience on this too, because when I was little, I swore up and down I was a boy. All I wanted was to be a boy. I think it wasn't like anybody told me to. I had my own thing. Maybe it was because I'm the oldest. So my youngest sister was very, very girly. Everything was pink and sparkles and glitter and tutus. And my grandma used to put me in dresses and take me to get pictures done at like the Kmart. So for whatever reason, I had just a built-up animosity towards girls. And maybe it was because it was kind of forced on me as a kid. But whatever reason, I wanted to be a boy. I was always a tomboy, loved fishing, being outdoors. I'd go swimming in the creek with cows. Like, it didn't matter. I grew up in Virginia, by the way. So, but anyway, yeah, I just had it in my head I was going to be a boy. And this is kind of embarrassing, but I'll say it because I was kindergarten and before. I wanted to be a boy so bad that I would take empty shampoo bottles, fill them up with water, hold them at my crotch, and then pretend to pee with it. And I just thank God that my mom and dad let me play out my little I'm going to be a boy fantasy and didn't start me on hormones that would have wrecked my whole entire life. Now, that's a big issue with me. I don't care what people do after the age of 18. By law, they are a legal adult, and they can do whatever they want as long as they're not infringing upon my rights. I don't care what anybody does. But my issue is with children. Leave kids alone. Leave them alone. Especially don't give them hormones when they're like 6 years old. You can't do that. My 5-year-old barely knows how to wipe her own ass by herself, and now these parents are saying that their 6 and 7-year-old kids are transgender. It's total horse shit. It's all horse shit. And what really makes me sick is I've watched a couple things on YouTube about these trans kids. I know Desmond was one. I think there was a couple in the UK, and they're all over. And what really makes me sick is these parents are promoting these children to an extent where it's almost scary. It's terrifying. So not only, well, just say for instance, these kids really do have gender dysmorphia. They're already going through some shit. So now you want to put them on television. You want to put them out on the Today Show and prance them around with other men in dresses and crazy hair and makeup. It's sick. It's demented, and it is, for lack of a better term, the work of the devil. It's distortion. It's not reality, and these kids are being pushed into it and encouraged by their parents. Oh, I'm a transgender, and everybody's just supposed to clap and say, oh, it's so brave. If the person is 18, then so be it. Let them do what they want. I don't care. Just leave the kids alone, for fuck's sake. Now, good old Bruce Jenner. I remember watching that award show just for the sake of, the comedian or the comic aspect of it. So I remember watching that and all the whole joke of the Kardashian clan sitting there. And then a man who decided like that he wants to be a woman is all of a sudden given an award for Woman of the Year. Apparently, women are so bad at being women that now men are given awards because they are actually better women. Now, as a woman, that should enrage everybody. It's like, no, fuck you. You are not a woman. That's not a woman. That is not a woman. He can stuff his tits with silicone. He can chop his pecker off all he wants. He is not a fucking woman. I'm speechless. A woman, okay, Bruce Jenner is never going to experience having a period. He's never going to experience PMS, no mood swings. Well, maybe he might experience mood swings since he's taking hormones. Notice I'm saying he. That is a man. You're not going to change that. He's never going to experience period, PMS, hormone shifts. He's never going to experience menopause. He's never going to be pregnant and carry a baby for 9 to 10 months. He's never going to give birth. He's never going to be able to breastfeed. And so just because he chops off his dick, I'm supposed to call him a woman? No, it's not happening. And the fact that the media wants to keep pushing this is, it's obvious to me what's happening. The distortion of reality is, it's taking away individualism, and it's making people just go crazy. If you don't like the fact that a man can be a woman, you're labeled a transphobe, a homophobe. What? I mean, it doesn't even make sense. I mean, for fuck's sake, the LGBTQ, just the bi in there, totally contradicts trans. Because if you're trans, there's like 70-something different pronouns. So bi doesn't even make sense to be in that same category. It contradicts itself already. So it doesn't make any sense. It just doesn't make any sense. The media is pushing this and pushing this. Like, what did I see? So there's a teacher in Virginia who actually just got fired because he wouldn't adhere to a gender pronoun that one of his students wanted to go by. It was a female student that he had in his class 1 year. Then the very next year, she decided to transition to a man, and then the teacher would not call her a him or whatever the hell pronoun that she wanted to go by. And he refused to do it because it went against his beliefs. And I want to say he was a Christian guy. Don't quote me. I mean, you have to double check. But they fired him. They fired this teacher because he would not call a female a him. Where are we in a society? And it makes me sick because Virginia is a great state and it's being overtaken by corruption and Democrats. But, well, that's another story. Yeah, it's the media's push for normalizing transgender people and homosexuality. Like I said, I don't care what people do after the age of 18. My only issue is with children. And we were actually living in the Bay Area. We were there for 7 years. I never did go to a pride parade, but I've seen the pictures, and people actually take their children there. And there's men that would walk around crawling on all fours, wearing ball gags, like strap-ons. You have people, and sometimes they're even naked. I've been to San Francisco plenty of times, and I'll go into San Francisco one day, but the place is a complete shithole. It's a cesspool on the water. That's exactly what it is. And it's got a golden bridge stemming from it. That's San Francisco nowadays. But anyway, so people will bring their children to these pride parades and let them look at these sick, demented people wearing horrendous looking costumes and dildos, and it's just sick. And I don't know if parents realize kind of what's going on, because as soon as you normalize men in strap-ons or women in strap-ons and people parading in the street with ball gags and thongs and chains and walking, like pretending to walk a person as a dog, as soon as you start to normalize that, then what else is going to be normalized? You watch. It's going to be, oh, pedophilia is just a sexual orientation. Mark my words. And I believe it's already been tried. I think maybe Canada. I think I read an article talking about that. But, well, I've seen a TED Talk before of this crazy lady who went on there and said that pedophilia was just a sexual preference and these people really shouldn't be demonized because if, say I was only attracted to, I don't know, I'll just use Asian men because my husband's Asian. Say I was only attracted to Asian men. All right. So that was her argument, was that men can actually be attracted to children and it's completely okay. It's just another form of sexuality. What the fuck? No. We should not be standing for that. That has to stop. It's not normal. Kids are innocent, just like animals. Like that's my two things I am very strong. I have a very strong opinion on. Don't mess with animals in the sense of torture. I'm not some crazy vegan, but I don't like torture of animals. Like you see Chinese dog festival. Look into that shit. It'll blow your mind. So I'm not into the torture of animals, and I'm definitely not into the torture of children. And that involves transgenderism as well. It's abhorrent. It makes me sick to my stomach. And then I saw a video where this man actually went into a classroom to confront a teacher about his son, or I think it was his grandson, from that perspective. Yeah, it was his grandson. And he went in and was talking to this teacher and was like, why are you putting my grandson in a dress? And I forgot whatever her excuse was. Like, I don't like your tone with me. You need to take it up with the principal. He's like, no, I want to know why you're putting my son in a dress for 2 days in a row. And I see what's happening. I see it. Nobody seems to notice and nobody seems to care that children are being put in the middle of all of this. And they don't deserve it. They're innocent human beings. They have a whole life ahead of them, and here we are trying to shove transgenderism and multiculturalism and diversity down their throats, which that's why I'm really paying attention to what my daughter is learning in school. If I see anything remotely equity, inclusivity, and diversity, no, I don't like that shit at all. It's not about your skin color. It's about your ideas. It's about what's in here. I don't care what color you are. It's not about diversity of skin color. It's about diversity of thought, which people seem to be lacking nowadays. All right, I'm ranting. All right. So what does it mean when a child is being maybe pushed? And from what I understand and what I've seen on videos, I think these parents are really pushing for these for their kids to be a transgender, and when I see them go on television, I guess it kind of just makes it even more apparent what the whole idea is. They're parading this poor child out on the stage, hoping to get attention, probably hoping to get a Patreon account where they can make millions of dollars. Oh, woe is me, my poor son who thinks he's a girl, or he is a girl. Like, it makes me sick. Just let these children play out their little fantasy land. Don't dig too much into it. And so one of the people on here actually recommended me to go watch Charlize Theron and her son. I wasn't able to find a video. I was a little late getting on here. I did look up some pictures, though, and apparently she's adopted 2 black children, and the little boy, well, I saw her, I did actually watch one video with Jimmy Fallon, and she was talking about how her little boy likes Tinkerbell doll. Whatever, who cares? Like, we're humans. Humans have a natural inclination to care. So I think she took that a little bit too far. And the next thing I saw were pictures of this poor boy with, like, braids and a dress, like, just looked like a full-blown girl. And, like, that's no coincidence. This high-level, big-name actress has a transgender son. That's not by coincidence. It's by design. These people are sick. These people are sick. Anyway, so I think what happens is children in general, especially maybe public schooling, I'm not saying all of them are bad. The ones in California might be worse, and thank God I left that state, because not only are they just crazy leftist liberals, but who the hell knows what they're even teaching children in schools. So thankfully we're in a more conservative state, so we'll just see how Texas goes. Anyway, so when these children are going into school, everything is just stripped from them. Their innocence is kind of stripped, and then they're indoctrinated. So you have to look at who controls public schooling. It's the government. So whatever the government says is what they're going to teach. And that being said, they go in, and I saw the most perfect meme I've ever seen. They go in with, just for the sake of argument, they go in with a round head. When they come out, it's a square. They no longer have that imagination. They are indoctrinated, and it's not just a couple years. It's literally 13 years. If you do kindergarten through 12th grade, that's 13 years where you're in a school for 8 hours. My daughter leaves at 8:10 in the morning. She doesn't get home till 4:20 in the evening. That's a really long time to be away. And the whole time she's being looked after by another teacher who has to deal with 20 other kids. So their loss of identity it's gone. The whole, their inner being and who they are is pretty much designed. And then they come out, and then they go into these liberal-run colleges, which I think college is a joke. I'm so glad I never went. Actually, I did one semester of college, hated it so much, I quit. I'm not doing this shit. Anyway, and that's another thing they push for. They push, oh, you got to go to school, and then you come out like a fucking idiot. And anyway, so I'm not going to encourage my kids to go to college. And I mean, if they want to, that's fine. But I'm going to really push for trade schools if they want to do something like that. And I'm also going to teach my daughters that having a family is great. It's great, and it's super important, because it's the future. Children are the future. And if we don't step up as parents, and I'm speaking from a parent perspective, we don't step up and help guide them in the right direction, we're screwed. We're screwed. And in the meantime, we'll be bombarded with immigrants that don't assimilate to the culture. And then next thing you know, the American culture is gone. And there's nobody else there to replace it except for the coddled generation. And, well, I mean, that's what's happening in California. That's exactly what's happening in California. It's a liberal shithole. The whole West Coast is actually a liberal shithole. All the way from Seattle down to, well, I don't know about San Diego. San Diego's actually a great city. But I'd say from Seattle way on down to Los Angeles, it's just a liberal cesspool of garbage. Anyway, so I read this book a couple years ago called A Billion Wicked Thoughts. I forget the name of the author, but one of the very first stories in the book was about a little boy named David who was born, and the parents decided to circumcise. So during the circumcision, there was an accident, and they actually cut off his entire penis. So what the doctors told the parents to do was to raise little David as a female. So little David became little Brenda. It wasn't until Brenda was about 7 years old, and all Brenda wanted to do was play with trucks and, be a boy. Because he was a boy, and they decided to wait. I think it was around maybe pre-teens, and they told him the story of what actually happened. So then little Brenda decided, well, I'm really a boy, so I want to transition back to being a boy. And they gave this person, this poor kid, hormones in order to become a female. So now a teenager, now David again, transitioning back to being a male, eventually I forget how old he was, but he ends up committing suicide in a Walmart parking lot. And, well, that's what happens when you mess with a child's head so bad to where they can't think for themselves and they're so confused. It's suicide, or worse, Anyway, well, I'm optimistic. I'm very optimistic because I think people are waking up to this. And you can't leave it up to the mainstream media. It's all corrupt. Every bit of it is corrupt. It's all by design. It's the Mockingbird media. So whatever they want to put out is what they want you to believe. They don't want people to think for themselves. They want people to believe that Bruce Jenner is actually a man. And they want, I don't know. I don't know what they want. They want control. That's a way to control people. And I remember when Bruce Jenner, I'll call him Caitlyn, for fuck's sake. I remember when Caitlyn went and did the whatever magazine it was, and he's like in a white dress, and he looks absolutely ridiculous. I think it was before he actually did the whole thing. But he looked absolutely ridiculous, and all you keep seeing is, oh my God, he's so brave. Yes, oh my gosh, this is great. This is just amazing. Stand up for LGBTQ rights. Yes. It's like, what the hell is wrong with you people? That is a man in a dress on the front cover of a magazine looking absolutely ridiculous. I don't care. He shaves his jaw. He lets his hair grow and gets extensions. He's freaking has fake titties. And he cut off his wiener. He went the whole way. Like, that is dedication. But it still don't make him a woman. Like, how dare him call himself a woman? Especially after I had my first pregnancy, I had a 24-hour labor, 12 of which went all natural before I got the epidural. Long story short, epidural didn't work. But I had a kid naturally, something Caitlyn will never do. Here's another thing Caitlyn will never do. My second kid, I had her all natural. I did not do any epidural. You want to talk about women empowerment? That is women empowerment. Have a kid all natural, and you'll see what the hell I mean. So, Caitlyn Jenner, fuck you. Fuck you, Caitlyn Jenner. You are not a woman. Stop calling yourself a woman. And for anybody else out there that is watching this, stop believing the lie. That's not a woman no matter what the hell he does. And every single cell in his body is male, except for, well, I'd say sperm cells, but you chop those off. But, no, it's, well, I don't know if, see, my thumbnail picture, well, I had a picture of this crazy man dressed as a woman, had, like, devil horns coming off the top of his head, and he's in a library reading books to these little children like 5 years old, like my daughter's age. And I'm just thinking, my God, what are these kids thinking? What are they thinking of this crazy person? And they're trying to normalize it. I saw another video here on YouTube where they had a transgender guy. I don't know how old he was. He looked kind of young, but you know, makeup, the hair, the dress, and like big ass giant man hands, and he's got like fingernails painted and heels. It's so weird looking. But they have these kids come in and sit down beside this guy in full drag garb, and they're like, they're asking these kids, do you know what I am? And they're so confused. I think some of them are super nice and they don't want to say you're a man because they're so confused. What they see is a person wearing makeup, the wig, the dress, and they know that's more feminine, but they're so confused because there's a man voice. The hands are like man hands, and not to mention, he's got shoulders like a linebacker. And these kids are just like, you're a man. I think one of them was like, you're a man. And he's like, I am a boy, or whatever it was. But it's like, come on, like, what are we doing? And why are these parents subjecting their children to this? I'm not saying we should, like, just shelter our kids, because that's not good either. But trying to say this is normal, that's not normal. It's not normal. And I don't think it's right or it's fair for children to be subjected to that. Sorry, not sorry. Then, what else? There's other things I also wanted to talk about. So usually in the gay community, and like I said, I've got 2 cousins in my family that are gay. who cares? I don't care, you know? Gay people are just like any other person to me. But when the push is that it's normal and they deserve special rights for being gay, no, that's not how it works. Everybody in America, everybody is equal under the law. It doesn't matter what color you are, what nation you come from. If you're an American citizen, you have American citizen rights. I don't care if you're queer or if you're trans, if you're bisexual, if you're gay, lesbian, everybody has the same rights. So next thing you know, I'm pretty sure, well, California now wants to tax your text messages. Next thing you know, they're going to start taxing people for not adhering to gay people. And I wouldn't put it past them to do that. It's just a ticking time bomb. So, and they're sodomites, and if you want to really dig into it, and I won't go into too many details, I'll leave that for another episode, or whatever you want to call this thing. They're sodomites. So, if you go into details of what sodomizing does to children, then you start getting into satanic stuff, and I've really looked into that. I definitely believe Pizzagate is real. And that's another thing I'll go into one day. But, so sodomites, what they believe with children anyways, is that by sodomizing a child, you stimulate the pineal gland, which Satanists believe is a third eye. And by stimulating the pineal gland, stimulating the third eye, they think it puts you into another dimension and then can control you. So sodomizing is something, I mean, as long as you're not doing it to kids, whatever, but it's children that I care about, and I think the transgender community is a dangerous place for kids. I truly do. And if you go watch the video about Desmond. Oh, darn it. I should have looked this up before I did this. Desmond is awesome or something like that. But this poor child, he was in a dress, he had pantyhose, he had heels, he had his makeup on, he had a wig, and he went on to the Today Show with Michael Stranahan, and I don't know the chick's name. But this poor little boy is walked out, and the whole crowd is just clapping, all excited. He's prancing around, doing spins. They sit him down, and from what I can tell, he looks like he might be on the spectrum. You can tell because he wasn't making eye contact with with the host, and he just looked like he was in a daze. Like, they would ask him questions, and he just kind of, yeah, mm-hmm. And he's very robotic in his answers. It's so sad. So after he's out there for like a minute or two, then they bring out these freaking men in dresses, like full drag, and they're prancing around the whole stage, and like people are, yeah, well, yeah, you go, girl. Like, what is it? Like, this poor child, my God. How this isn't labeled as child abuse is beyond, it's beyond me. I don't know how in the world these people can do this and get away with it. It's just sick. It's sick. Even if he is, if he is actually a transgender, no, he's not transgender. He just likes to drag. Okay, well, for the kids who are going through whatever I went through when I was a kid, if they're actually trans and they have gender dysmorphia, I think the last thing we should do is parade them on a stage in front of a live audience and tell everybody it's normal and that he's so brave. I still think that that's a real issue. And with the high suicide rates already, we shouldn't be promoting this, and we should not be saying it's normal, because it's not. It's a sickness, and it should not be publicized like that. But anyways, all right. That's about all I have for now on the trans issue. In future episodes, I'm sure I'll be touching back on that again, because there's a lot to it, and I would really like to get down to the scientific aspects of it, because I'm kind of very ignorant in that sense. So I definitely have some more reading to do, and I will definitely touch back on this topic again. So thanks for tuning in, and I'll see if I can do another video. Let's see, I'm busy tomorrow, so I'll see about maybe Monday. Alrighty then.